All right, it is 4 o'clock. We're gonna open up the meeting for the Public Works Standing Committee for the October 2022.
Oh, great, thanks.
Proof of notification,
Yes.
agenda approval, somebody,
I'll make it.
21 point, Mr. Cooey. Mr. Cosgrove seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of the agenda as printed or posted in your iPad, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye, opposed, nay. All right, agenda. We're in October, September meeting minutes. Looking for approval of those.
Make motion.
Mr. Cooey? Second, somebody? Mr. Cosgrove? We got the duel, have her again today. Anybody with discussion on the minutes from last month's meeting? If not, please signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed, nay? All right. Are we on WebEx?
You are on my
That means you want us to use microphone?
No, we're trying to use the owl, so you don't have to.
We have an owl? Oh,
I'm trying to see if you're coming through and my stuff isn't.
that the Hooterville owl?
I can, Mr. Chair, this is Clint. I can hear you folks pretty clear. As long as you keep speaking nice and loud, it's coming through to me.
And let us know. All right, where are we at? We are at public comment. I don't see any public for comment. That'll come up when we go to that part of the agenda. All right, number 6, courthouse administrative report, property management update.
Oral report today, Mr. Chair. I'd like to start with talking on the paint project, and Administrative Assistant Cheryl Dahl will be briefing you on the painting project.
Perfect.
In order to get land conservation and zoning moved into that wing, we're gonna have that painted. We got a bid from Mance Pro Painting. I called 3 other people besides him who didn't return my phone call. One did respond to me by messenger and said, good luck, that she was booked till December. So to paint all of the offices, not counting what is now the ambulance lounge, is $5,100. That's to paint 1, 2, 3, 4 offices and then the hall. That's one, right? Did I get that right?
5.
5. And then he will come back after the lounge is emptied, take all the furniture out, he'll spray that, and that's $1,855. And he will work that into his schedule. So I'm hoping when I call him tomorrow, that he says he can either start Monday, would be preferred. So he's gonna get it worked in as soon as I give him a call.
The next item, Mr. Chair, will be talking about signage, and I will defer to Assistant Bell as well.
So now because of the office moves, everybody's gonna need to be re-signed. We have signs missing. We've got 4 signage. I contacted 3 companies. One didn't follow any of my directions. One was pretty reasonable, but the cheapest one that looks like she followed everything that I asked her to do was Stevens Signs, and that is $2,655. And she was gonna get what she needed ordered so that as soon as the offices start moving, she'll start signing.
Next item that I did have on here was windows. Possibly awarding a bid.
Oh, that's me. Well, I have a bid that needs to be open, which is number 10, unless you wanna do it now.
Yeah, we can do it. But do you wanna take these 2 first, Administrator Clint? Do you wanna take them or you wanna do all 3 in one motion?
Well, this is just a report here, so.
You're really muted. Can you take a look at your settings?
We lost you.
If I get closer, does that help?
No, it's probably a volume setting. Let me check ours.
Try calling it on my phone.
Stand by.
It's your call. We can wait till later. The next item, though, I was hoping that Supervisor Nelson could tell us about was the metal siding. and the roof project and the ADA doors.
Okay, as far as the roof project, it's complete. Russ Mullen was here Tuesday. He checked everything out. So far it meets all the specs. So that all passed through him. Metal siding, I have had multiple people say they were interested, but I could still not get a bid from any of them. I've been working on it for 3-4 months. Nobody will send in a bid. They keep telling me, yeah, I'm interested, but still no bids on that. Interstate said they were interested. They took the measurements of everything. Still have not gotten a bid from them. What's the other one?
88 doors.
88 doors. We've already, got Perkins. They've been paid their half. They will be ordering all the mechanisms for the doors for door 13 coming in the lobby downstairs. That'd be the one on the parking lot side. We'll have all new, mechanisms for that. They will order all the mechanisms for the, door going into the courtroom on that upper floor up there. That door will also be replaced. We have a company or a guy that's gonna come and replace that door. So it swings the other way. So it'll meet all the ADA standards and it'll all have push button. All brand new push button stuff, so.
When is that expected to be done?
Well, as soon as the door comes in, Perkins will put the door in and then Todd said Perkins will have the ADA stuff in within 2 or 3 days after they get the door in. So it's just a matter, we got an electrician come in and just move just a little bit of wiring, but I'll do that through my budget, so.
The final item that I had, Mr. Chair, then is, you'll see up on your screen, I put up there our DOJ grant projections. The top here, you'll see the items that we have already in place and have expended on, amounting to about $50,000 of the $150,000. The remaining 100 are projects that we're currently moving on, including laptops and docking stations, maintenance, department sanitation supplies, jail and road sanitation supplies, an Apex officer training simulator, and then a remove, install the doors, of which Supervisor Nelson just told you about. Additional funds, if they go over, will be coming out of the sheriff's fund for the Apex officer training simulator, as he has funds in training to use. Mr. Chair.
And if I remember right, when you and I discussed the painting, which route were you gonna go for funding on that?
I think we had Cheryl's, that was in 75, or was that short-term 92?
75.
Thank you.
And the windows was still coming out of 75 as well?
Correct.
Okay. And,
You wanna look at that?
yeah,
You wanna open it or
yeah, you go ahead.
you go ahead?
Cheryl's gonna open it. So do you wanna,
Okay.
we talked to you originally, Clint, do you wanna do these all in one motion or individually?
Well, it's a report. It'll just be to accept and file the reports. So you
Okay.
can do it all in one.
Questions, Mr. Carroll?
Yeah, just for my information, I don't know what that training, I assume it's not a stimulator, that it's a simulator? Yeah. I just wondered what it is.
It is, the simulator is a law enforcement simulator. They just got it in, yesterday, day before. It actually came in the day after we had our meeting. It showed up and basically it's, the headset where the officers can go in and train, firearms, domestic issues, all that kind of stuff. They can simulate, scenarios and then they can, do everything off of that.
So it's
So that was-
VR headset?
Yeah, it's a VR headset, yeah. So they were setting it up yesterday or day before down in the old conference room 2, so.
Are you ready for windows?
Yes.
We had several phone calls of, a lot of people that wanted to do the whole casement. We just can't afford that, so we just doing the inserts. There's 72 windows that need to be replaced. This bid is for $42,896 to be completed by March 1st out of Fund 75.
Who is that from, sir?
Wisconsin Glass, sorry, they're out of Reedsburg.
72 window inserts,
Yes.
42,896.
Yeah.
Fund 75. Questions, anybody on everything that's been discussed? The painting, now we have the window bid. What was the third thing? I forgot already. What's that?
Fine.
Signage, oh yeah. Cheryl does, I asked her to come over and bid. She does all of our signage at Part-Time Brothers.
Can I ask you a question about the door?
Yeah.
Sure.
Are you aware that when the door was put in at Simon's by that company, we had to have another company for the ADA access? Has anybody talked to their Simon's about their experience with that company? And the fact they had to have another company come in and fix it because it wasn't right?
Nobody has said a word to me about it.
I didn't think you probably knew, but.
And they were the only ones that bid it.
Okay, just
So.
so you're aware, the Simons had to have another company come in and fix it because it didn't work from that company.
I would assume they have a warranty?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
They did when Simons had to.
A little bit through, it seems pretty reasonable.
Wisconsin Glass.
Wisconsin glass.
Yeah.
And what they mean by inserts, it's basically, because it's all double pane, it's just the glass and the frame itself, or the glass itself. It's not all the woodwork around it. So they're just gonna pop the trim off, pull the old glass out, put the new glass piece in, and then frame it back, or, trim it back up.
Trim it back in and
Yeah.
caulk it or whatever they
Yeah.
do, silicone.
Yeah.
Any other questions on them? Steve?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, do we need to change course on this door if there's concern that it won't be done right?
I'm not against getting, well, if Randy put out bids,
That's what I want.
right,
That's the only one to bid on it.
yeah.
Well, no, I don't mean that we rebid. I'm just saying that we would point out to them the concern we got and make sure they know we're not gonna let that happen again, something along those lines.
Following up with Simons and seeing what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The thing is, this money is on a timeline as well. Has to be spent by the.
And it has to be done by December. Or first part of December.
Randy, you
Project
wear your
has to be
spurs
done.
of cowboy hat that day when he comes in.
Well, it's a different guy installing it. It's not the original owner.
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
me either, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I just know it's a different person installing, so. Again, I don't know the history behind any other stuff, so.
If nothing else, we tell the guy, look, you had problems with Simon's, we don't want it to happen again. I'm not talking about any complicated extension to schedule, just
yep.
give them some.
Well, and it doesn't hurt to bring up that, say, hey, we've heard this.
Yeah, okay.
And even talk to people.
Yeah.
Mr. McGuire?
We have a policy, we have to have, can we accept a bid with just one bid? We can't?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, just asking, I did not.
Yep,
Well, just, let's give the guy, let him put the door in first before we go after him.
Well, they're not replacing the door. Downstairs, they are not replacing the door. The only thing they're taking off is the, mechanism for the ADA. That's the only thing they're taking off. The door is staying there.
Well,
they're just taking off the
whatever
electronics.
case, whatever work he's performing,
Right,
well, let's not get after him before he gets.
right.
We don't even know if this is gonna work yet. I mean, kind of get the cart ahead of the horse, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway. You'll deal with it when it's done. I mean, it's no different than anything else.
Any other discussion on the signs, painting, or windows?
Make a motion to approve that.
Mr. Cosgrove makes the motion,
I'll second it.
Mr. McKee seconds it. I think we've discussed it enough. All those in favor of, as presented, going ahead with this new signage, painting downstairs where zoning and land conservation will be moving, and replacing 72 windows in the old portion of the courthouse, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? All right, that is passed and moving forward. Well, you're up here. Number 7.
All right, so we are down one employee. Gabe has left us. He moved to Madison. So we're short-staffed. We're recruiting to fill that position. I did talk to Clinton, and we've interviewed, I have actually offered the position, but I'm waiting back if the candidate accepts. We also had yesterday, everyone got their email, and Mr. Brewer emailed them asking for help. This is a scam. One of the questions that Sean asked is why we need security training at $4,000. I can tell you why, because when that email went out from Mr. Brewer, which it wasn't, if you looked at it, it was from a Gmail address. We had 10 people respond and interact with this actor.
I just responded today.
Yep, and I'm not calling anybody out, that's just why we need the training, so that we learn what to look for. Because things like that are what's gonna get a virus onto our network and cause us trouble. And if we can prevent it, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So certainly when I address, those concerns that were brought up in finance, that'll be on the list. Ransomware is, definitely a problem. The other thing that I haven't finished, I will finish it yet this evening, is what was requested at, the ad hoc committee wasn't satisfied with our answer for what we were going to do for this 2024 through 2027 and our money savings. So I'll be clarifying my answer and giving that to them. I will email the committee members a copy of my reply before I give it to that committee. So if you have a problem with that, please let me know right away after I send an email. All I have.
Well, good, I guess. Mr. Elder, number 8, Highway Administrative. Here. Where are we gonna start? Number 8A,
Yeah, just pulling it up here.
starting with the bills.
So yes, the third, a little bit better month than last month, not over $1 million or $1.5 million. We're back down around the 600 some thousand, big purchases. Obviously, the third truck finally came through with the invoice, so we bought that. And then, obviously, you can see, this was also the month that we did our seal coating with, so you'll see on there the prices for the oil and chips and so on and so forth that we had purchased for that. And otherwise, pretty standard stuff for the month. Nothing really out of the ordinary.
Josh, is that new calcium chloride thing down?
Yes, I'll get to that in the, cause that invoice,
Because I'm sure that'll be showing up.
that'll be coming, but, just keep in mind that will be 100% reimbursed from the state. Wash
But
it
then I
down.
would assume that, of course, it's gonna take something to maintain it, you know what I mean? You gotta make the brine, so.
You gotta make the brine, so we'll still be putting a little time and labor into it, but the main purchase is covered.
Anybody with questions on the bills as they're presented?
I have a question. I see there's an item on there for Crawford County Highway Department. Is that like, sharing expenses for a road that's?
Okay, so that goes back to our paving projects. One of our rollers had broke down, so we had to utilize their roller, had to get them on a moment's notice, so that's just
That's the payment for that.
correct.
Anyone else? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve paying the bills as presented. Mr. McGuire, seconded by, who did? They did?
We kind of both did it
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
same time, so.
We'll give it to Pam. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, same sign. All right. AB, 2022 project status updates.
Projects for this year are basically all 100% completed, all the paving's done, all the ditch work, final dress up's all done, painting's all done. We did get the new brine maker 100% installed and it was running as of this morning. We were trained on it, the last week and a half in preparation for the oncoming open house, which I know we'll get to later on the agenda. The guy's been cleaning house, getting everything kind of touched up and cleaned up and then doing some repairs that we needed around the shop. So now they're completed with that. They'll be going to their fall schedule, which looks more like patching, and mowing, brushing, so on and so forth. But all major projects are completed for the year.
I see it.
Turn white up on ridges.
I heard that Cashin is right. All right, anybody with questions on any of that? If not, we'll move to number 9, discussion and possible action on land lease agreement with Hounds. Cheryl, I think, or Clint. We don't have no Cheryl. We got-
Okay, in your file, you'll see, let me see if I can pull it up here, a project we've been working on for quite a while. 1 second. Public Works. Changed files to get to my last report. Okay, it should be pulling up here and share. Okay, can you see it there at the courthouse?
Yes,
Okay, we're looking at today a motion to enter into an agreement with Allen Unbehound to rent 15 acres of tilled portion consisting 15 acres tax parcel 02234113000. Background on this, previous contract for the rental expired December of 2021. We've continued our partnership with Unbehounds and looking to formalize with an agreement reaching through December 31st of 2026. The acreage has been reduced to reflect the addition of the solar array, which is directly across from Pine Valley. The resolution is attached in there and Corporation Council has reviewed. Mr. Chair.
I'll entertain a motion. We can get it on the floor if anybody wants to discuss it further, but
I'll make.
Mr. Cooley, seconded by Mr. Cosgrove. Discussion. Part of the reason we've been waiting so long also is because we were gonna do the land swap, but then with the highway project that we'll be doing out there in the next few years, the land swap is gonna get held off until that part is done, so. Anything else to add, Clint? Anybody with questions?
Do we lease the property for?
What do we use it for?
Yes.
They rent it from us for crop ground.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it's 15 acres of crop ground. It was a couple more acres, but we, Pine Valley, how big of solar array did we put in?
I think it was like 15.8 and it's scaled now back to 15 to account for the area that's reserved now for the solar array.
Did you have a dollar amount in here, Clint?
Yes, it is. It's 15 acres at $120 per acre. So the total rental then coming to 1,200. Oh, I needed to change that number. I didn't change my formula. It should be 120 at 15 acres, and then I'll correct the formula for what the total cost should be annually.
Okay, oh yeah, I just opened up the, okay, you'll correct that.
Yep, it should be 1,800 even.
All right. Anybody else with questions? If not, we'll vote on that. All those in favor of approving the Unbehound land lease agreement until 2026, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, we have a lease agreement.
Thank you,
Next
Mr.
item. You're up with number 10, yes. We did the windows, all right. Josh is back up, number 11.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a statuted function for the highway department and the county. What we do, culvert cost share. A township that's dealing with culvert replacement that's over 6 foot in diameter, they can go through the highway department and we'll cover 50% of the cost for culvert replacement. So they apply for everything in 1 year, get the work done, and then the following year, fiscal year, they receive their reimbursement. So this is something we do every year. We offer it every year. Whether township does or not, that's up to them. But currently, right now, we have 3 different townships that we did culverts, cost shares with, and we'll be looking to, grant the money back to them. So we have to get this passed through this committee, and then it'll have to go to full county board to authorize giving the money back to the townships.
Motion by Mr. Cosgrove, seconded by Mr. McKee. Discussion, anybody? It's that we go through it each year. It's a good thing, I think, anyway, so. If there no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? All right, that's done. 12, you again, sir.
Okay, this is for the fairgrounds. Every year, or we actually just implemented it for the first time last year, we send equipment and manpower down to build the derby track, derby pit area for the fair event. And because of how laws and everything work, what we normally do is we keep track of running total, show it as an invoice, a bill owed, and then what we do is we end up forgiving that debt as we did at the last, or when it was still just a standing highway committee. So this is the bill for this year, which is pretty close to what it was before. I'll zoom in a little bit so we can see it. So 947.67, that was manpower, a couple, the loader, skid steer, truck and everything. So looking for a motion from the committee to forgive the debt.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Cooey? Seconded, Barb? All those in favor signify by saying aye. I keep bouncing around. Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same side. Oh, it's a stuffy nose headache day. 13. That'd be you again, Mr. Elder.
All right, so currently we're still down one mechanic. A little back history on that. It's been 2 years since we've had a actual applicant with a valid CDL with interest in the actual mechanic's position. How I've been filling those positions lately is people that want to come in and become a patrolman, but understanding they're going to start as a mechanic. When there's an opening, they'll transfer over and become patrolman. So that suffice for now, but we're approaching the winter months and we're still down one mechanic, which throws off a rotation for manpower without overexerting existing manpower there. Right now, technically, we only have one qualified good mechanic and it would just be a lot of overwork to him. So trying to get creative with ways to try to find a way to fill that position. And right now, after thinking things through and talking about things, I'm looking at maybe doing a contract position. Maybe something that we can hire for the summertime months, go through like the Southwest Employment Group. See what we can muster up out of there or find other ways to be creative. Even if it's just a typical contract employee, maybe a farmer that we know is a good mechanic that's sitting around for the winter months that wouldn't mind working. That way we wouldn't have to pay him the benefits, but he could work the hours and be available. Something that gets a little creative, saves the county a little bit of money, but keeps us moving forward.
So what are you looking for from us, sir? Approval to go forward?
Go forward and look into this.
I would make that motion. Seconded by Mr. Cosgrove. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? All right. Creativeness happens quite a bit anymore because not a lot of workforce out there to be had. Now we're at 14, open house.
So we've been talking about having an open house at the highway department, and this is to help with obviously understanding of the referendum and so on and so forth, and also for the general public to understand what we actually do with the highway department. So at the completion of all the summertime projects, we kind of were shooting for mid-October. We're kind of planning on October 22nd. Right now, I say we hold that date, and we'll shoot for October 22nd. We're looking at holding it on, which is a Saturday. Obviously, we don't want to have it as a huge, long, all-day event because it's going to become really inefficient and get kind of chaotic. So looking to do something maybe from like 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Have people start arriving around 11. At noon, I would do a big tour walkthrough of the facility, ending down in the new sand and salt storage shed where we'll have equipment set up that people can see, a big speech from me on how everything kind of works. And then we'll also have a food truck on site that is there on their own behalf. They're making their own money. They're going to sell whatever they want to sell. And then just keep it real simple, keep people from, keep liability off the highway department and the county. So nobody's like walking around from truck to truck, but still have an open house. Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be at the shop.
This is gonna be at the highway shop. So in order to do this too, I believe we'll have to do an agenda and public notification and everything, which we will do with WRCO and also utilizing our Facebook page to try to get the word out there for it.
What's the date on that?
October 22nd.
October 22nd.
Correct.
What about an agenda for the full county board in case more than
Yeah,
too many show up?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, actually, a formal.
Actually, can't you just do, agenda for your, and say there's a possibility of others? Clinton, are you on there? Can't they just agenda for theirs and say there's a possibility of other departments having a majority, but no business will be addressed?
Yes.
Yeah, you'd want to probably put that at the bottom, that other quorums of other committees may be present, but no action will be taken. Something to that extent to steal it from finance and personnel.
So we wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
do that.
Perfect. I don't think, do we need to have that in the motion for any reason? Anybody with more knowledge than myself? I'm looking at you, Mr. Lawyer.
Well, I think this is just a function of the highway department, so it wouldn't require committee approval.
No.
Perfect.
If you can capture it in your adjournment, that you're adjourning to the next time and place of that meeting, if it's actually a quorumed event, otherwise you're good to go.
Will do. All right, now we're to the treasury. 15, anything else, Josh, before I release you?
I've got more things on the agenda, we can come back to me, or I can do them all right now.
We can do them all now.
Okay, let's go.
18,
I think
yep,
that's the next one.
yep.
So replacement mowing equipment, it's pretty common knowledge, a lot of the equipment that we have is getting out of date, falling apart, it's hard to even keep it running anymore. We've sold off a couple of our tractors that are becoming too costly, so what I'd like to do is use those funds and start replacing some of the smaller ticket items like the flail mowers and some pull behind brush hogs, something that we can cover right out of the funds of the sale. And then eventually down the road, look at, another rental program or lease program or whatever it may be on a couple new tractors. But, right now I'd just like permission to look at replacing a couple flails and a pull behind brush mower.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Cooley,
Second.
Mr. Cosgrove, discussion. Mr. Carroll.
Just curious what kind of dollars we're talking.
Flail mowers, it depends on what you want on them, if you want side shift ones, if you want offset ones, I mean, you could be anywhere ranging from $4,000 to $5,000 a piece. Brush hog could be anywhere from 10 to 17,000, depending on the make, model, and accessories that it has on it.
Any further questions?
So this is just for you to be looking at those or actually for purchasing?
For purchasing. Because the purchases would fall below the $50,000 mark, which is underneath Rule 14, it would not have to go to full county board, it would just be done through the Public Works Committee.
We sold 2 tractors,
Two
correct?
tractors,
Yeah.
and we're looking at selling the third.
Okay.
What was, how much did you get out of it?
One, we had 21,000, one we got 13,500, and then the Massey's still up for debate on how much we're gonna sell that one for.
That's the one we got back.
Yes. That's the one we're gonna take a huge bath on.
I'll take it to Hennessy.
Yeah. Anybody else with questions? Good, good. All those in favor of having Mr. Eller move forward with looking into new mowing equipment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? All right, mowing equipment is approved. Highway Department future response to resolution 2296, number 19.
So last time, we answered with MIS our response to resolution 2296, how we were gonna show the, cut to tax levy for year 2024 extended 2027. We do understand that we are gonna go back and revamp it, so it shows the, compounding, loss from year 2024 up through 2027. But we also wanted to clarify after some recent findings or beliefs of others of why we chose what we chose. With just saying that we were gonna do a reduction to the amount of asphalt purchasing. So there's 2 different options that we kind of look at. One, we always look at reducing the amount of asphalt we're gonna buy, because that is the thing the general public really revolve to, how much work we're actually getting done on the road. Then the other one people love to gravitate to is the staffing. Cut staff, cut staff, cut staff. Well, looking into this, I could maybe make that a little bigger for everybody to see somehow, somewhere.
Control plus,
What's that?
control plus.
Okay. Yeah, that worked.
Down on the bottom corner will work too.
There we go. Bear with me here. Okay, so to do something kind of comparable with reduction of staff. So a reduction of 2 staff, reducing the cost of staffing by $157,679.08, and the purchase of asphalt by $80,320. That would give you that $238,000 that we propose in reduction. The problem with that is employees produce revenue, and that's a lot of how our highway department runs as far as buying our materials and getting these projects done as revenue. So understanding that we need to actually show what we're losing in revenue. So we went off a 3-year average for what each employee would technically produce in revenue, 3-year average of overtime costs and additional costs from outsourcing the work. So lost revenue for 1 employee per year is about $54,000. So 2 employees would be an additional $109,512.72 per year. Increased overtime costs for 2 employees is $9,200 per year. Additional costs for outsourcing work or subcontract would be almost $24,000 a year. And then one you can't put a pin on is the increase of average response time during weather and public safety events, when we can actually get there to plow your roads. I do have it figured out that for every mile of road for plowing, you're roughly spending about 7 minutes a mile. Right now, our employees to get through 1 round is anywhere from 3 to 3.5 hours because each person has roughly about 30 miles worth of road. So if I had to decrease the amount of patrolmen, which I'm already at the bare minimum, I'd have to absorb those plow routes, increase it into the other plow routes, which would increase the overtime and the stress you're putting on existing employees. And you'd be looking at maybe at the bare minimum additional 1.5 hours before we can actually get there to plow your roads. So people would be stuck waiting or risk of an accident, loss of life, and so on and so forth. So again, these were based off 3-year average of cost and revenue per employee. So that's why I decided with option 2, because with option 2, you're just losing the $238,000 in asphalt, which is more easier to replace with going after additional grant funding or replacing short-term borrowing, you know, whatever your choice may be. To see that in a better average, increased cost from option 1, the reduction in purchase asphalt would end up exceeding the proposed $80,320.92, the amount of $223,033.64 to offset the impacts in 1 year. Future costs could see impacts totaling greater than option 1, reduction in asphalt. Highway has already reduced staffing by 2 employees for future budgetary constraints, which I wanted to remind everybody that in these last 1.5 years leading up to this point, we've already tried to trim down as much as we could and eliminated 2 positions to reduce the staffing in preparation for this event coming. Further reduction of staffing will result in decreased morale and most likely an increase in empty positions because obviously employees are going to get scared. They're going to start looking elsewhere. And right now the pool we have to pick from is slim to none for new employees. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of why I chose what I chose, if that makes sense.
Anybody with a question? Go ahead, Richard.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be any trickle down monies from the infrastructure bill?
So that'd be the BIL funding, and we did apply for 2 segments of road that was underneath the BIL funding, and we did get one of those grants, and that would be for the County Road to Old project. We're still working on the second one, that's still in play, but how that looks, I don't know. It's important to note about that BIL funding though, that has extreme costs that come with it. It's not just here's a bunch of money to do your road, there you go. We have to, on the county's end, stick a bunch of investment and have matching funds to actually gain access to that bill funding.
So you have to match the fund.
Correct.
And then basically, like we talked before, it might be before any of you guys were on, but I think it was when we were still out there. It's basically projects you got on the shelf.
Shelf projects.
You already have it designed, engineer work's already paid for. Oh, I'm gonna apply for this funding. And then you also, besides having that done, you also have to have the money to match it, so. They make it sound good, but,
Yeah, I was just asking.
no, it's a good question, Richard.
By the time the county puts up the upfront cost of engineering and historical, data review, and then purchasing the right of way on top of that to meet federal standards of how the road has to be designed, a lot of times it doesn't pay as much as you think it would. I mean, like I said, the county is putting a lot of upfront costs into getting access to that. But we are utilizing it where we can.
Any other questions? explanation on the budgeting. I think it's very good, but. All right,
Like I said, I just want to make everybody aware because it's the opinion of others that I should be looking at staffing, and not the reduction of blacktop purchase. I'll understand that if we reduce staffing, you're not gonna have the staffing to put the blacktop down. And it's still gonna generate into a loss of blacktop because your revenue is going down. So, and that's on the front side of it. On the back side is everybody forgets what it's like in plow season when we gotta get to the roads and keep plowed. And we're at the bare minimum staffing for that right now.
good. All right. I think we're done with you for now. Let's go back to number 15. Jeff, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on for about 4 more minutes.
Copy that. We'll go fast as we can.
All right. So as far as the treasurer's office is concerned, I don't know that I really have any new information that we haven't hashed out in prior meetings regarding the motel. Essentially, we're just at the point where the committee needs to decide what value you want to put on it, and then the conditions that need to be met for a successful bidder. And Michael can provide some other background on that as well.
Mr. Wendell,
I mean, I would be involved in drafting any relevant offer to purchase or resolution, however the committee feels it's effective to do it. I would say that conditions should be made part of the bidding process. So when the property is put out for bid, potential bidders should be made aware of that. But that would just be included as part of the purchase price. It's just a cost that's not necessarily cold hard cash in hand.
thank you. Mr. McGuire, you have somebody that wants to give us some information?
Gentleman over there.
Yes, if you can come up to a microphone, give us your name and.
Here's one.
Those mics working, they weren't working.
The center owl is.
We're doing it off the owl, all right. Speak loudly, we're good.
Mr. Chair, committee members, my name is Alvin Christensen, I'm from Lone Rock. I've been following this hotel for almost 2 years now. I've put quite a bit of time into this. I've met with Sextonville Sanitation, understand the condition that it's in. Bottom line up front, the reason why I came here tonight, I was told there may be a condition where the hotel would have to be demoed by the current bidder. And I'm just asking tonight to be the consideration of actually fixing that up. I've been inside of the hotel, I've seen the collapse. I've worked with Sextonville Sanitation on their conditions to get it reconnected to their sanitation, and I still think it's a process that could save the building. So tonight, my main thing coming here was just showing that there is interest in the building there, and hoping that in order to get more interest and maybe a higher dollar for the county, I have took myself. There's 4 vacant commercial buildings since COVID struck. I've had buildings from 3 years all the way to Keg and Kettle that went through the same process. It should have been demoed. It had black mold, it had partial collapse. I've seen this before and I have turned them around. So I've got experience in this too. It's not just kind of throwing it out on the first time. So, and at the same process, I think these are attached. Peaches right next to it is attached to this lift station as well. So my future addition to this is if that does fail, when and if it does fail, I would also be interested in this. I've worked with, like I said, Sextonville Sanitation. I'm working with Wisconsin DNR right now to see if there's any grant money because that lift station is a private property there. And then also with the wetlands there too, there's got to be some consideration of any kind of additions or remodeling. There are some things that won't be grandfathered in with the wetlands there as well. And just seeing if there's any questions, because I have been in that building. I've seen paperwork in there, so I've talked to several people on that.
Those of you that have the photo up, if you see the, I don't know, I'm colorblind, so the light blue, is it light blue, Mr. Cosgrove? You don't have enough. That is the wetland area, so, pretty much over 3/4 of the lot is in wetlands, but, that's all I have to add. Questions for, there we go. Well, yeah, it shows up, so. Anybody with questions for Mr. Christensen?
And Sextonville Sanitation, I mean, a couple of the contingencies, I said, there's only 2 companies in the state of Wisconsin that can do this kind of work for the lift station. They said the pump in the lift station is shot, and they did want the lining that goes from the lift station all the way under the bridge to the white building across the street. That would have to be done too. I think it's almost 700 to 1,000 feet. That would have to be getting redone. And then also with consideration with being a wetlands, you'd have to go through the DNR. So it's definitely not an easy project for this.
What are you planning to?
So my intent for this, I mean, I'm a 19-year veteran myself right now. I've worked with Karen at the Veteran Service Office. We were looking at, there's 12 units there. I would like to set 1 unit aside for veterans going through homelessness or things such as that. Also, I've been working with, I believe it was Southwest Homeless Coalition. There is funding out there at state and federal levels for vouchers for people that are going through homeless to get a roof over their head. And just through my experience on my 3 bars, I've got 2 units in Bear Valley above my bar. I put out there for, when we weren't staying there anymore, I had about 30 applicants trying to find a housing within about 5 hours. So the demand is definitely out there for affordable housing. My vision of this is to get all 12 units up and running. I would like to see them be a month-by-month housing, more of a transition, not anything long-term or anything. And then I do have an individual that would like to stay at the house and then do most of the maintaining. So if anything breaks down, pretty much a 24/7 care there. And then as well, we would convert the lobby over into like a guest laundry. So they would have laundry on site as well. They would have the bed, small bedroom, bathroom in each unit. And then I was gonna work with Richland County with transportation for individuals that don't have transportation to get them into Walmart or access to facilities here in town.
Mr. McGuire.
I have to ask, what's our position on this? We've been mulling this around for a couple of years now. So have we set a deadline on this? Do we have a goal?
No, we haven't had it for a couple of years. We just got ownership of it.
Just a few months ago.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
but the Gigging Kettle was on the county's discussion plate for what, 9 years, 10 years?
It was vacant for 10 years.
We
Yeah.
didn't, yeah, it was vacant.
Yeah.
We never got ownership of it until we sold it. So we can't sell it till we have ownership.
The problem with that building though too, there was state and federal liens against it.
Right.
And that tied it up for a long time. And I was following that for a while.
9 years.
Until those were dropped, the county couldn't do anything.
So, yeah, no, it's here today. Whether we're gonna take action on it or not, that's up to you guys. But, committee's thoughts?
Well, we haven't even talked to the level of what we wanna sell it for or.
No,
so-
my suggestion is it's gonna go to the next month or until we have time to discuss it more.
Yeah.
Find out some estimated values. We don't have any of that information. I think Jeff's had to leave probably already or soon, so,
He did leave.
yep. Your thoughts, Mr. Wendell? We're okay kicking it down 1 more month, are we?
We own it. We can do with it what we want. I would say that it's heartening to hear that there's a potential for it other than demolition. There's certainly no reason that we couldn't make the language such that something has to get done with it. Bidder acknowledges the current condition of the building is unsustainable and commits to either, the restoration required to bring it up to code or demolition of the building. I can draft that more thoroughly if and when the time comes, but no need to, there's no deadlines here or anything like that. The county is just not collecting any revenue from the building as long as it owns it.
We were collecting any revenue before we.
Right. No, well, that sounds good because that, I think if we get to that point, when we put it up for bid and Mr. Wendell drafts that, we would put a timeline on it. I foresee it as you put a timeline on it to be brought up to code, or if it's not brought up to code by a certain date, or at least process has started, you might be able to, kind of like we do with zoning, you might be able to give them an extension, which would have to come back to us, I'm foreseeing it. And then, if it's not completed after maybe 1 extension or something like that, then we'd have to really decide whether to, if it was gonna go through, but sounds like Mr. Christensen, I seen the Keg and Kettle, I was actually in it when we owned it. I cannot believe that it reopened, so I'm all for it if you can make it happen, and you would, if you become the winning bidder, so. I'm in favor of, putting it into November, agenda, and hopefully we can get more information and,
Well,
And-
we could, I would suggest we draft, like Mr. Wendell said,
Yeah.
get something drafted for the next month. So that we have something going forward, so we can approve that part of it and go forward, you know. I mean, it's probably a couple month process, I would agree, by the time we get through it all, but come up with that verbiage on how we, like, what we expect of the building. You know what I mean, whether it meets X code, you know, and it, I don't know if, you know, zoning is involved or what else gets involved with it, but I would agree. But I second what Steve says, I'm glad to hear someone's got a plan, other than just, you know, and it sounds like a really good plan, so thank you for that.
And the only contingency I would say on that is everything is taking a lot longer right now. Because of COVID and everything going on, just even things with my businesses, buying ovens takes a year and a half to get one brand new. So as long as there's continual improvement, that's what I like to see too, so.
yeah, definitely, and I think, I mean, it's gonna take you a little bit more time as well to get some answers from the DNR and wherever else you need answers before you would be able to place, in my mind, a bid that you felt comfortable with, knowing you have all the answers that you would need, so.
Definitely, and up to this point, that's what I was doing before I put even my first dollar down. I don't wanna tank my other businesses to put it all on the line for this one, but I do see an opportunity there, so.
Good to hear. Any
So,
other?
to clarify, Mr. Chair, my directive from here is to draft conditions that would attach to a possible price agreed upon by the committee. And you'd like me to shoot for flexibility so long as the building is brought to a standard, whether that be the standard of the ground or a standard of livability.
Correct. I think that we're all in agreement with that, aren't we? And if we can review it next month, what you bring, and if we need to adjust it a little bit, I think we're okay with that. You're good, Mr. Wendell, on that? Mr. McGuire has a question. Go ahead, Mr. McGuire.
Well, I know the DNR is involved in this heavily, but because Sextonville is an unincorporated community, how do we deal with that? They're not a municipality, what?
Why, I don't know why you're asking. We have nothing to do with that. We as the county. We own the property. If it's in my mind, if it's the Sextonville Sanitation District, it's the sanitation district that we don't have any, zoning may have, I'm guessing, but we as a county or this committee has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Did that answer your question? I mean,
Yeah, because I really, the whole thing is somewhat of it's just up in the air all the time.
well, if that's pipe, then I would assume they're gonna want that replaced to,
Correct, so.
you're talking millions, probably.
The main concern with that as well is the lift station is actually on the Peaches property. It's a
Yep.
different owner. So, and then with the Sextonville sanitation, they did say that the branch that goes to the Peaches building, it is taking on groundwater. So even if you get the hotel and they do not want to be on board with you, you would have to cap their branch and kind of go independently. And there are other options too for either a mount system, but with it being the floodland, and it kind of limits your options of what you can do in that location.
Yep. Yeah, we looked at it just for everybody's information. If you were to tear it down, there's about half acre there, basically where everything's sitting. There's only a half acre of actual buildable space there, so. Any other discussion on that? Otherwise, we'll move it to next month's agenda. I say we move it to next month's agenda. All right, one other one. Number 16, two other ones I got. 16, Village of Viola. And I think we lost Mr. Even. Let me see if I can.
Hear me?
Okay, he's still here.
All right,
I'm on the road, but, so this is a tax deed parcel that became eligible as of September 14th. It's a vacant lot in, Viola. There was a house standing on it at one time. It burned down in 2018, and the owner just paying. So, other than that, the delinquency goes back to tax year 2019. It is on the lot. And that's about it. Just looking for your approval. So,
I think we got it, Jeff. What we're looking for is there's $4,568.18 against it. Sounds like, from what I understood, the current homeowner, landowner, property owner wants to wash his hands of it, so I would believe we would need a motion to take this property, move it on to county board. Is that the way you heard it, Mr. Wendell?
I am just double checking where we're at in the process for that. I do remember doing one of the steps that I need to do in order to apply for the tax deed. I don't know that we've submitted for the tax deed yet. So action to move it to the county board at this point may be premature.
Okay,
Let me just,
we're okay with, well, we probably don't even have to do any, action here because we can take it once it's, past so many years of no taxes paid, correct?
So we did publish it and, we got the affidavit of publication, and Mike, I did find your affidavit of due diligence as well.
all right, so your lawyer is slacking and needs to draft you a tax deed so you can take it, and then we can discuss it further.
Okay, so no action for us.
Not at this time.
Thank you. All right, Jeff, drive safe. Back-
Always.
Back to number 17, Mr. Clint, if you're still there in Mineral Point.
I am here. The education documents are in there from the ad hoc committee that you saw. I believe Supervisor Carroll, I don't know if you had any comments with it. Otherwise, they are in there with some amendments that the committee had recently taken.
Jared,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
if you'd like, I can go over that a bit. If we could pull up the document, it's actually the one from the ad hoc meeting earlier this week, the October ad hoc referendum meeting. So, because it's been refined, improved, added to, and since the last meeting we had here, and it's getting close to what we think is what we want to really roll out and expand, who all sees it.
And I'll have it up here in just a minute if my computer cooperates.
Well, you need to go to the ad hoc committee documents. Because the one that's in our folder here is actually a little behind things.
Okay, so I'll go to the ad hoc and pull up the most recent one from ad hoc. 13, it's not there. Let me check on the website. One second here. I'm going to the website to pull it off of there.
When did you want it? Steve?
The one that doesn't.
Barb, you got it.
Yeah, Barb. Thank you, Barb.
Which
The one that doesn't have the tracking.
Okay, but what's the name of it?
Oh, hang on.
Public education.
Public education, it's 707B, that's why I don't, 07.
That one?
Yeah, that one.
All right,
Let me share this via WebEx, so that's it.
a lot of changes, Steve, or no?
There, a fair bit, and I don't know how many people have actually read through the whole thing, but we've added some stuff. And Josh especially knows, we've tried to enhance explanation on, for example, what the wheel tax does, other implications to our budget. And so it's up to 26 pages now, but, you know, there's a lot to take in, and the committee has tried to make it a combination of graphics like that are kind of quick and easy to get a handle on what's going on, as well as the text that goes into more detail. Bottom line, this education document is trying to explain, you know, why we're in this situation. And then it also explains, you know, the big segments of our expenses and the balance between our revenues and our expenses, and what the different departments' impact is on the tax levy. So there's no answers here. This is just for education of, where we're at and what our cost structure is. So, you know, I'm not gonna go through it page by page, but, you know, it's what we're gonna use to make sure everybody's informed on if we go forward with a referendum. Marty and Mayor Cuppernall did an interview on the morning show, just recently, and if you want to listen to that, that's another good overview. It's, you know, it's archived on WRCO's website. But this is important stuff, and some of the stuff in here is maybe not what you would expect, or gives better insight into our cost drivers and what our options are going to be. There's some things that don't help us, and other things have a lot of potential, but you know, the hardest part is going to be deciding, if we do decide to do a referendum, to craft one that really solves the problem. And then we're not there yet. We're still gathering information and trying to get it all in one place so people can get their hands around it. That's all I've got for now, unless you wanna.
Where's that at again, Steve? That's the 17B, is it? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's under the ad hoc committee's October.
17B. Could look at it better there. Anybody with questions for Mr. Carroll? Thank you for all the work you guys are putting into that, because that looks like a lot of work. If not, anybody else have anything, future agenda items? Number 20, we're up to number 20. Mr. Clint, do you have anything else to add?
I do not, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn till October 22nd at 11 o'clock. Hopefully everybody can get out there sometime between 11 and 1. It's a pretty amazing building that we've got up, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn till October 22nd.
Make a motion.
Mr. Cooley, and seconded.
Julie.
Anybody else? I'm not even saying anymore. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, we're done. We made it by 5:03. We can make it, well, you still got time to get.
Well done, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Oh,